Is life a race? How to slow down and start living with purpose. Imagine standing right in the middle of a bustling city square. Neon lights flashing, horns blaring, people weaving past each other like rivers in flood, every face focused. Yet no one truly sees each other, because everyone is lost in their own world. Sound familiar? Have you ever felt like the world around you is sprinting, but your heart is lagging miles behind? Each morning we wake up to an alarm, louder than our own thoughts. Grabbing our phones before our feet even hit the floor. Emails, texts, headlines, the world demands our attention. Before we've had the chance to give it to ourselves, we rush to work, juggle tasks in meetings, skim through conversations. And by nightfall, our minds are exhausted, yet our hearts remain unfulfilled. And then, the next day, we do it all over again. We live fast, but do we live well? Here's the irony, in a time when everything is designed for speed. Lightning-fast internet, instant communication, express deliveries. We feel more behind, more anxious, more alone. We've been sold a lie that faster means better, that busy means important, that movement equals progress. But if that were true, why do so many of us feel stuck, empty, disconnected? Imagine you're on a treadmill that keeps accelerating. You run faster, breathe quicker, but you're going nowhere. That's modern life for most of us. We're sprinting toward what exactly? An ever-receding finish line. What if the real solution isn't to run faster? What if the answer is to stop, to breathe, to wake up? On this channel, destiny lies in your hands. We believe there's a different way, a wiser, gentler, and profoundly deeper way to live, rooted in the timeless wisdom of the Buddha. We're here to explore a simple yet transformative truth. Slow down, wake up, live deeply. This isn't just mindfulness as a buzzword or a productivity hack. It's about rescuing your soul from a world that profits when you stay distracted. It's about reclaiming your life, breath by breath, moment by moment. So if you're tired of chasing, tired of performing, tired of running just to stay afloat, stay with me. Together we'll explore the heart of Buddhist teachings, enriched with personal stories, real-world examples, and practical steps, to help you slow down, wake up, and finally, truly live. Once you see this path, there is no unseeing it. Only the decision, will you keep running or will you start living? The paradox of speed and the hidden cost of hustle culture. Let's get real for a moment. In today's world, speed isn't just encouraged, it's demanded. Fast responses, quick results, instant gratification. We live by metrics. How many tasks we complete, how many followers we gain, how fast we climb the corporate ladder. The unspoken mantra is, the faster you go, the more valuable you are. But here's the catch. This relentless speed comes with a hidden cost, one that isn't visible on your performance reviews or social media metrics. It costs us our presence, it costs us our peace, it costs us our authenticity. Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, a successful Silicon Valley executive, lived by the hustle creed. Work 16-hour days, sleep 4 hours, always connected, always on. He had wealth, prestige, influence, but one day during a routine jog, he collapsed. The doctors said, "Your body is burning out. If you keep this up, you won't see your 50s. That was his wake-up call. But why did it have to come to that? Many of us are running that same race. Even if the finish line is burnout, disconnection, or worse, a life half-lived. What hustle culture never tells you is that speed numbs the soul. When you're always rushing, you never feel fully here. Every moment becomes a means to an end. And life starts slipping through your fingers like sand. Buddhist philosophy teaches us that craving, the endless wanting, the insatiable drive for more, is the root of suffering. And hustle culture, it's craving incarnate. It's a system designed to keep you chasing shadows. But here's the beautiful irony: when you slow down, you start to see clearly. You begin to distinguish between what's urgent and what's essential. You realize that more isn't always better. That faster isn't always smarter. When you pause, you reconnect with yourself, with others, with life. Now, I'm not saying ambition is wrong, or that success is evil. But when your worth is measured by how fast you can produce, respond, and consume, you've traded your humanity for a machine's schedule. So what's the alternative? It's what the Buddha pointed to: mindful presence, living fully in each moment, not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Because when you live fast, you skim the surface, but when you live slow, you dive deep. The art of slowing down: stories, science, and spirituality. Slowing down, it sounds so simple. Yet in a society addicted to speed, it feels almost rebellious. But here's the secret: slowing down isn't about laziness. It's about depth. It's about living with such intentionality that every moment begins to shimmer with meaning. Think of the last time you truly savored a meal, not rushed, not distracted, but really tasted every bite. That's the power of presence, and that same power can transform your entire life. Science backs this up. Studies on mindfulness reveal that slowing down, even for just a few minutes a day, can reduce anxiety, improve focus, and increase overall happiness. Neuroscientists have discovered that mindfulness practices actually rewire the brain, strengthening areas responsible for empathy, emotional regulation, and resilience. But the science, it's just catching up with what ancient wisdom has always known. In Buddhist teachings, there's a concept called samatha, the practice of calming the mind, and its companion, vipassana, the practice of seeing clearly. Together, they teach us that only when the mind is still can we see the world and ourselves as they truly are. Let me share a story. There was once a Zen master who asked his student to pour tea into his cup. The student kept pouring. Even when the cup overflowed, the master said, "Like this cup, your mind is too full. How can I show you the way unless you first empty your cup?" That's what slowing down does. It empties our overflowing minds. It makes space for insight, for clarity, for peace. But it's not just about meditation on a cushion. Slowing down can be a walk in nature, noticing the rustle of leaves. It can be a heartfelt conversation where you truly listen, without planning your reply. It can be watching the sunset without photographing it, just letting it imprint itself on your soul. Spirituality at its core isn't about rituals. It's about connection to self, to others, to the moment. When we slow down, we remember we are not separate. We are part of the same pulse. That moves the tides, grows the trees, and beats within every living being. Mindfulness in action, simple daily habits to reclaim your life. Mindfulness isn't just a concept, it's a daily practice. And like any practice, it thrives in simplicity. Let me guide you through some easy, practical habits to start living mindfully today. Morning stillness. Before checking your phone, spend 5 minutes sitting quietly. Notice your breath, the sensation of waking up. This anchors your day in presence. Mindful commute. Whether you drive, walk, or take the train, do it with full awareness. Observe your surroundings, the feel of your footsteps, the rhythm of your breath. Single tasking. Focus on one task at a time. When eating, just eat. When working, just work. This sharpens concentration and reduces mental fatigue. Body scan. Once a day, scan your body from head to toe. Notice tension and gently release it. This reconnects you with your physical self. Mindful listening. In conversations, listen without the urge to respond immediately. Give the gift of full attention. Gratitude reflection. Every night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. This simple practice rewires your mind for positivity and presence, digital detox. Designate tech-free times. Let your mind breathe away from screens. These aren't grand gestures, they're small, intentional choices that gradually reprogram your mind and body for presence. Over time, you'll find that life becomes richer, not because you've added more, but because you're finally seeing more. The spiritual heart of mindfulness, living like the Buddha in the modern world. Living like the Buddha doesn't mean abandoning the world, shaving your head, or sitting cross-legged for hours on a mountaintop. It means awakening right here, right now, amidst the beautiful and chaotic everyday life you're living. What if enlightenment isn't a destination but a way of seeing, a way to walk through the world with clarity, compassion, and curiosity? The Buddha taught that suffering comes from our ignorance. From failing to see things as they truly are, we suffer. Not because life is inherently painful, but because we cling, resist, and remain unconscious. Living like the Buddha is about being awake. It's recognizing when anger arises and seeing it for what it is, just a passing storm. It's catching yourself rushing and choosing to slow down. It's realizing your cravings for success. Recognition, love, and gently smiling at them, knowing they don't define you. In the modern world, living like the Buddha isn't about escaping. It's about integration. It's about sitting in a meeting and taking a deep breath before you speak. It's about scrolling your phone and asking yourself, am I mindlessly escaping or intentionally exploring? Imagine standing in a crowded subway station. The noise blaring, people jostling, yet inside, there's a still, quiet space. Untouched by it all, that's mindfulness. That's living like the Buddha. Stories of transformation, how ordinary lives have changed through mindful living. In a world that constantly pushes us to chase success through hustle and endless motion, it's easy to get caught up in the belief that the harder you work, the more satisfied you'll be. But what if that's not the path to true happiness? Let me share a few stories of people who found change, not by changing their circumstances, but by changing how they engaged with everyday life. Take Sarah, for example. Sarah was a high-powered lawyer in Chicago, known for her sharp mind and relentless drive. She believed that success meant working harder, pushing herself beyond her limits, and striving relentlessly. Her day was filled with back-to-back meetings, endless emails, and an ever-growing to-do list. But one evening, after a grueling 16-hour workday, she found herself sitting alone in her office, the lights dimming, feeling completely empty. Despite having everything, prestige, money, recognition, she couldn't remember the last time she truly felt alive. That moment became her turning point. Sarah decided to change, not in her work, but in the way she lived each day. She started small, 5 minutes of mindful breathing each morning, to calm herself before diving into work. She began eating lunch without checking her phone, actually savoring her meal. She took short walks to clear her mind, focusing solely on the simple act of moving her body and noticing the world around her. These small, intentional practices didn't slow down her life. They made it deeper. Sarah didn't quit her job, but she approached it with a new sense of calm and clarity. Meetings became more focused, decisions more thoughtful, and she started to fall in love with her work again. She found joy not in doing more, but in being present in each moment. Then there's Marcus, a factory worker from Detroit. Marcus lived an automatic life. His routine was repetitive: wake up, work with machines, come home exhausted, and repeat. One day, a friend introduced him to mindful walking. At first, Marcus was skeptical. How can walking make any difference, he thought. But he decided to try each day before and after his shift. He took a walk around his neighborhood. No phone, no distractions, just him and the rhythm of his steps. Gradually, Marcus began to notice things he'd never paid attention to before. The changing colors of the leaves, the laughter of children playing, the breeze on his face. He started to find peace in these simple moments. His job didn't change, but he did. He became more present, more connected to himself and the world around him. Marcus realized that life wasn't about just surviving each day. It was about fully living each moment. And then there's Leela, a single mother working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Her days were packed, overflowing with endless responsibilities. The idea of mindfulness seemed a world away from her reality. But Leela found her own way to practice mindfulness amidst the chaos. While washing dishes or folding laundry, she chose to be fully present. Each task became an opportunity to connect with the moment, to feel the water running through her hands, to appreciate the act of caring for her home and family when driving her kids to school. She took deep breaths, staying focused on the present rather than letting her mind race ahead to the next task. Leela stopped waiting for life to get easier. Instead, she began to embrace it exactly where she was, with attention, compassion, and full presence. These stories remind us of a powerful truth. You don't need to change your circumstances to change your life. You don't need to quit your job, move to a quiet retreat, or wait for the perfect moment. You only need to change the way you interact with life. Mindfulness doesn't ask you to escape reality. It asks you to embrace it, fully and completely, just as it is. Living mindfully doesn't mean doing less, it means doing more. More with awareness, more with presence, more with purpose. Whether you're a powerful executive like Sarah, a factory worker like Marcus, or a busy parent like Leela, mindfulness is available to everyone, in the simplest everyday moments. We can find the most profound transformations. So, what could your story be? Imagine if you started with just one mindful habit. Maybe it's enjoying a meal without distractions. Maybe it's truly listening to someone without preparing your response. Or maybe it's just taking a few minutes each day to breathe deeply and reconnect with yourself. These small changes, practiced over time, will deepen your experience of life. In the end, a meaningful life isn't about how much you do, it's about how fully you live each moment. Life isn't a race to win, it's a journey to be lived, and you have the power to choose how you live it. Crafting your mindful life blueprint, step-by-step practices for everyday awakening. Mindfulness isn't about a major overhaul. It's about small, intentional changes that gradually transform the way we experience life. These small steps don't require huge shifts, but instead they guide us toward a deeper connection with the present moment. Let's explore how you can design your own mindful life blueprint. Start with your breath. Breathing is the most fundamental rhythm of life. Begin each day with just 3 mindful breaths. Inhale slowly. Feel the air fill your lungs and exhale gently. Notice the pause between breaths. This simple act helps you reconnect with the present moment, calming your mind before the chaos of the day begins. Carve out mindful moments throughout the day. Mindfulness doesn't just happen during meditation. It can be woven into your daily routine. Morning, spend 5 minutes sitting quietly before diving into your work. Meals, eat one meal without distractions. Focus solely on the texture, flavor, and experience of eating. Evening. Before bed, reflect on one meaningful moment of your day. This exercise helps you end the day with a sense of gratitude. Create a mindful space. You don't need a meditation room to practice mindfulness. A small corner of your home with a cushion, a candle, or a plant can be a sanctuary for your practice. Step into that space with the intention to be present, whether for meditation, journaling, or simply taking a few mindful breaths. Move with awareness. Movement is a powerful tool to connect with the world. Whether it's yoga, tai chi, or simply walking, do it with full attention. Feel each step. Notice the movement of your body. And let each motion become a moving meditation. Mindful movement helps you connect with your body and the world around you. Embrace single tasking. In today's world, multitasking is often seen as a sign of productivity. But in reality, it can reduce efficiency and increase stress. Instead, focus on one task at a time. When eating, just eat. When working, just work. This approach enhances your concentration and allows you to fully engage in each task. Practice emotional mindfulness. Throughout your day, pause and check in with your emotions. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Where do I feel this in my body? What does this feeling need? This practice builds emotional intelligence and helps you respond thoughtfully to challenges, rather than reacting impulsively. Set boundaries with technology. In an increasingly connected world, it's important to create spaces where you can disconnect. Set specific areas or times where you won't use technology, such as during meals or before bed. Consider a digital detox. One day a week without screens. This allows your mind to rest and recharge. Nurture gratitude. End each day by writing down 3 things you're grateful for. This simple practice shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant in your life, fostering a sense of contentment and peace. Gratitude is a powerful antidote to the stress of everyday life. Return to the present again and again. Mindfulness isn't about perfection. It's about returning to the present moment. Over and over again, every time your mind wanders, gently guide it back. This is the essence of the practice, recognizing when you're distracted and choosing to return to the now. Over time, these small, intentional choices will lead to subtle shifts in how you experience life. You'll notice a calmer mind, a clearer heart, and a deeper connection to the present moment. Mindfulness isn't about doing less, it's about living more fully. The ripple effect, how living mindfully can transform the world around you. When you choose to live mindfully, the transformation doesn't just stay with you, it ripples out to everyone around you. Your mindful presence impacts every room you enter, every conversation you engage in, and every action you take. This is the powerful ripple effect of living mindfully. Let's consider the case of David, a corporate leader, who decided to apply mindful listening in his team meetings. No phones, no interruptions, just focused, attentive conversation. Over time, the results were remarkable. Not only did productivity improve, but his team also felt heard, respected, and valued. Conflicts diminished, creativity flourished, and the office atmosphere shifted from tension to collaboration. Then there are mindful parents. When a mother practices mindfulness, she can pause and take a deep breath before reacting to her child's anger. When a father listens with full attention to his child's worries, he creates space for deeper connection. The result? Children feel safer, more understood, and more confident. Families, communities, and workplaces all benefit when individuals embody mindfulness. Scientific studies have proven this ripple effect. Mindfulness practitioners don't just reduce stress. They also demonstrate deeper empathy and compassion. As a result, their relationships improve, their interactions become more meaningful, and their communities become more connected. Now imagine this ripple effect on a global scale. If workplaces, schools, families, or even society itself embraced mindfulness, What could change? Fewer conflicts, more understanding, less distraction, more connection, less fear, more compassion, you might think. I'm just one person. What difference can I make? But history is made by individuals who choose to live differently. Individuals who inspire change simply by embodying it. And you have that power too. Every mindful breath you take is an act of resistance against a world speeding toward burnout. Every moment you choose to pause is a moment you reclaim your humanity. Every time you meet the world with awareness, you plant a seed of peace. When you change the way you live, you change the world you live in. The journey home, living fully awake in a world that's asleep. Living fully awake is not about escaping life. It's about embracing it, deeply, clearly, and compassionately. It's about recognizing the beauty and sacredness in the simple things, in the moments that make up the everyday life we often overlook. We live in a world that is constantly asleep, distracted, disconnected, rushing forward without fully experiencing each moment. But you don't have to live that way. Every day is a choice. Continue sleeping or wake up. Through mindfulness, we begin to transform the world from the inside out. When you choose to live awake, you start to see the miracles in the ordinary, the simple act of breathing, the sensation of your feet touching the ground, the beauty of a quiet moment. All become moments in which you are truly alive. Living fully awake means embracing life fully, with all its ups and downs, joys and challenges. Imagine living each day with this awareness. You wake up and feel grateful for simply being alive. You approach your tasks carefully, not in a rush. You speak with honesty, but also with kindness. You rest when your body calls for it, without guilt. This is the journey home, not to some distant place, but to your truest self. An awake, compassionate, steady, and free being. The Buddha never promised a life without storms. He promised that through awareness, we can find peace in the midst of them. Awakening is not a one-time event. It's a daily decision. Every moment brings a new choice. Live mindfully or get swept up by the distractions of the world. The key to awakening is to make it a practice, a commitment to living with mindfulness and intention every single day. You don't need to be perfect. Mindfulness isn't about reaching a constant state of peace or enlightenment. It's about returning to the present moment, again and again, without judgment. Every time you remember to breathe, every time you choose to pause and be present, you are awakening. You are creating space for wisdom and connection. Mindfulness is not about perfection. It's about returning to the present, over and over again. The living legacy, carrying the flame of awareness forward. When you live mindfully, you don't just change your own life, you create a legacy for those around you. Your presence, your calm, and your kindness can deeply affect the world. When you are truly present, others will feel it. Your mindful actions inspire those around you to pause, breathe, and reconnect with what really matters. The legacy of mindfulness is not found in grand gestures. It's the small, everyday actions that create the ripple effect. When you choose to listen with full attention, when you offer kindness without expecting anything in return, when you give your presence to those who need it, you are building a world that values connection, compassion, and understanding. Your legacy is in the way you show up in the world, how your awareness can change the energy around you, creating a more mindful, empathetic world for everyone. It's in the quiet ways you touch lives, leaving behind a world more rooted in compassion and humanity. Awakening is not just a personal journey. It's a promise you make to the world when you choose to live mindfully. You are committing to creating a better world. Every mindful breath, every compassionate action is building a new reality. You are the steward of your own awareness, and by living with intention, you inspire others to do the same. Your destiny, your karma, your awakening. All of these are in your hands. You are the one who shapes them. As you walk the path of mindfulness, you become a beacon for others, guiding them to see the potential for change in themselves and in the world. This promise is not just to yourself, it's a promise to the collective, to every person you interact with, to the world you inhabit, and to the future that will inherit the legacy you create. Through your mindful living, you are already shaping the world you want to see. Awakening is a lifelong journey, not a destination. It's a process of returning to yourself, moment by moment. And each time you choose to be present, each time you choose to live mindfully, you are creating a new reality. Not just for yourself, but for the world around you. Stay awake, stay wise, stay true. As you walk this path, remember the world is waiting for your light, your presence, your attention, your awareness. These are the tools that shape your destiny, and in turn transform the world. Keep choosing mindfulness, not as a goal to achieve, but as a way of being that leads to deeper connection, compassion, and understanding. With each mindful step, you create a life worth living. And with each breath, you carry the wisdom of the present moment forward.